So, what if I told you that memory isn't just in your head? What if it's actually all around us, in the leaves of a plant, the crease in a piece of paper, or even the click of a gear? Today, we're going to dive into this really radical idea called organic muscle memory, the theory that matter itself is a kind of living archive.
All right, so our whole journey here kicks off with what sounds like a really simple question. Can a plant actually remember? Let me introduce you to the Mimosa pudica. Maybe you know it as the touch-me-not plant. You touch its leaves, and boom, they fold up instantly. Seems like a simple, straightforward reflex, right? But that's not even half the story.
Well, get this. Scientists have found that this exact same plant can remember a specific harmless stimulus, like being dropped without getting hurt, for up to 28 days. 28 days! It learns to just ignore a false alarm. And it does all of this without a brain, without a single neuron to its name. This is memory in its purest, most basic form, a physical record written directly into the plant's body.
So, the big question is, how is that even possible? To really get our heads around how a plant can hold on to a memory, we can't just look at biology. We need a new tool, a new lens, a totally different way of seeing the world.
And this new way of seeing actually has a name. It's called the artiserostech lens. Now don't get hung up on the name, it's just a label. What it does is what's important. It helps us see the incredible that's hiding in plain sight, inside what just seems credible or normal. It's all about looking past the obvious to see that matter itself is a physical archive of its own experiences.
Okay, so let's use this lens on our plant friend. The credible part, the thing we see on the surface, is just a simple reflex. The leaves fold. But when we look deeper through this new lens, we see the incredible truth. A 28-day physical memory, an experience that's literally encoded into the plant's water channels and cell walls.
And this brings us to the core idea, the really big takeaway here. The whole concept of organic muscle memory argues that memory isn't something that only brains can do. The idea is that it's a fundamental property of matter itself. Any physical change, any little alteration, is, in a way, a record of history.
Now, this isn't just some abstract theory that only applies to plants. No way. This is a principle you can actually see everywhere, and it's built on three key pillars that connect the worlds of nature, art, and even technology.
Okay, so here they are. First, we've got structural adaptation, which we just saw out in nature. Second, there are permanent records, which you'll find all over the world of art. And third, we have tactile archives, the kind of memory we intentionally build right into our technology. Let's break each one down.
All right, first up, nature. The mimosa plant is our star player here. You see, its memory is all about hydraulics. When you touch it, water rushes out of its cells, and that's what makes the leaves fold. But if you keep doing it, and nothing bad happens, that whole hydraulic system physically changes. It adapts. It literally encodes a memory that changes how it responds in the future, all without a brain.
Okay, but this idea of physical memory, it's not just for living things. It applies just as beautifully to the world of art. And that brings us to our second pillar. Just think about Spanish paper folding, also known as papyroflexia. Every time you fold that paper, you create a permanent crease. That crease isn't just a change in shape, it's a memory. It's a physical record of your action and your intention.
And there's this quote that just nails it. When you fold a flat sheet of paper, you don't just change its shape, you change its soul. That fold has permanently changed the paper and now holds the history of its own creation. And that physical memory, that crease, is going to guide every single fold you make after it. It's been primed to remember.
So if you can have permanent records in art, it's not a huge leap to see how we intentionally build memory into the things we make, right? And that's our third pillar, technology. Think about all the designs that rely on muscle memory, what you could call physical recall. That super satisfying click of a camera shutter, the intuitive layout of a pilot's cockpit, the distinct pull of a well-made trigger. These are all tactile archives. The memory is built right into the machine, and it creates this seamless conversation between the person and the object.
Okay, so we've seen how matter can remember in nature, in art, and in technology. But so what? Why does any of this matter? Well, because looking through this lens completely changes how you can think about the things you create. You're not just making objects, you're folding archives.
So this leads to a pretty big question for you, for all of us, really. What folds are you creating in your own work? It doesn't matter if you're writing code, designing a product, or even shaping a policy. Every single decision, every line, every component, it's a permanent record.
It's a fold in the fabric of your project that is going to influence everything that comes after.
And let's push that idea a little further. How is your work being primed to remember? Are you building systems that are designed to learn and adapt on their own? Are you creating physical things that tell a story just by how they feel and function? Every gear, every fiber, every line of code carries its history forward.
And really, that's the bottom line here. The stuff we create isn't just sitting there. It's not static. These things are living archives of the thought, the intention, and the action you've folded into them. Your creations don't just exist. They remember. So the real question is, what stories are you going to fold into the world?